you're not going to get where you want to be in your comfort zone, and we all know that. So it's like maybe you're lying a little bit to yourself. And we've all done it. I'm guilty of it. Are you kidding me? And this isn't to make somebody feel bad that they don't lift weights. I mean, what kind of asshole do you think I am where I'm sitting there trying to shame you into lifting weights? But if you are interested in it and you're right there and you want to start it, go do it. All right. What's up? I'm back. So, crazy ass weekend. Absolutely insane. Riding dirt bikes and riding quads and ATVs and hanging out with my brother and choppers and dropping something. My father had a 1969 Triumph that my brother brought up from Texas. I will be redoing it in the spirit of my dad. I thought a lot about that. Good reflectionary stuff for this past weekend. And man, I mean, that feels good. It felt so good to see it. Felt good to touch it. Dropped it off at a childhood friend that got into custom bike fabrication, so that was pretty cool. Shout out to Kyle Vale, Vale Custom Fab. Super awesome. The guy's he has some really cool bikes, so I'm really interested to see what we end up doing together in the future. And I'm just super excited to see and be able to finish something that my dad wanted to finish. And it's just, I mean, it feels just, like I said, so good just to see it, to see, it's your 1969, it's old. So speaking of old, I want to talk to everybody or to you guys about something that constantly keeps coming up. And that's training as you get older and lifting as you get older. And it seems to be something that keeps coming up I'll go to parties or I'll go to family, events, and you get a lot of, I don't really feel, that great. I'm getting older. We get a lot of that, or I get a lot of that. And we also get a lot of that here, like clients that come in. I would say most of our clientele are over the ages of, my clientele for sure are some clientele, if you added them all up, I think it's a little over 40. So you have this, that you're getting older, and I would say do this. I mean, you need to work smarter and harder. And I know that's not something somebody wants to hear as they get older. And I know some of you are going, Ben, you're 32. What the hell do you know about getting older? Well, I've been training for about 10 years now. And I got to say, I love it. In the style in which I even train myself has changed dramatically. I mean, just insane. So when I was 22, I was able to, run, lift, work out, spar, go out drinking on Saturday, go out drinking, Friday, go out drinking Saturday, and do my thing. Now, as much as that slowly got out of control, I think, as it does for most young people in those ages to do, I started to realize that a lot of that didn't really fit into my lifestyle. So to be honest with you, as much and as crazy as I was as a teenager, and as crazy as I was in my 20s, I can honestly tell you that I probably would go out once a week, maybe. I didn't know what happy hour was until I was 29. I've never been out for happy hours, always working. So with that being said, I mean, you definitely are going to change. There's no doubt about it that you will change as you get older. Nobody's sitting here to dispute that. But that doesn't mean what you do changes. It means that you just got a little bit older. So if you're good at something, or if you're in the swing of things, like, what is your actual walking around age? Like, to put things into perspective for some of you, like I said, I'm 32. I definitely have to do things a little bit differently than I did before. It's usually just a little bit more recovery watching a little bit more what I eat. And overall, I know the best strength and functional exercises I should be doing, opposed to when I was younger, where I would waste my time on meaningless exercises or workouts that were really just for ego or really just for, I mean, I guess you could say some aesthetic bodybuilding type stuff, but I strictly stick for function. You want to look thick, you want to look good, you want to look sexy, but you also want to be functional, so that was my thing. And I'm not saying I'm any of those things. I could at least say that I'm thick. I don't know about the sexy part, but here's the thing. The way that I exercise now is definitely a lot smarter, and the way that I train myself is definitely a lot smarter, and I work harder too. So I can talk about it with myself, but then where that translates over to you, or you guys listening who are over the ages or have lifted and then not, or are wondering if you should be lifting. Here's the thing. I have clients and I have friends who don't exercise. Now, I love them, but I think you could see the difference obviously, in the people who take care of themselves. I mean that in a sense of exercise, training, health, and I really want to put an emphasis on lifting. So let's not even talk about anything else. Let's just talk about lifting. So functional training and lifting and strength training is so important for men and women of all ages. Now, seeing my friends that I know who lift and they train, and then around the same age, and then the people who haven't even started or ever done it, or have done it and now stopped because of some sort of injury, sometimes not even pertaining to lifting, the difference in the way you would perceive their age or what you would say how old they are is just not measurable. I mean, it's like so crazy. Like I've had clients and I've had friends be like, oh, I'm, 40, and they look, like they're in their, late 40s. And then I'll have clients, or I even have some friends in some people that I know that very, very pay attention quite a bit to their lifting schedules, and you would not be able to tell their age. Anybody that I know who's been able to lift, handle stress, handle their cortisol levels, balance their life, add a good lifting schedule into their lives, I just think they're just different. I don't want to put anybody up into a box or a category, but as you get older, I think it's silly not to lift or take care of yourself. And so I'll tell you guys a couple of stories, for me personally. When I was a kid, and, you think about it, I was a kid when I was 14, my dad's 50-year-old friends or late 40-year-old friends, those guys looked awful. I mean, they just looked terrible. They didn't take care of themselves. They drank almost every day, and now we're talking on the other end of the spectrum, but they really just didn't focus on taking better care of themselves. And I mean, I see some 50-year-olds now and 60-year-olds now, even some that I train, and I'm just like astounded. I'm like, you do not look like you're 63 years old, I have a client, he's 63 years old, he's deadlifting 225 the other day for reps and, squatting and, doesn't skip a beat. It's still sharp, and you want to, and it's lifted for, I think, like 15 or 20 years now, going on at least 20, well, way longer than that, but, consistently, if we added it all up, at least 20 years, 20 to 25 years, that's huge. So what you do is you have, those people who take care of themselves and they don't, but it just looks so much different. And you all know what we're talking about. When we were kids, when I was like I said, when I was like 12, 13, I mean, my dad's friends did not look like that, And I look at some of the people that I've seen, some of the women that I've seen, and they just don't age well. And it all comes down to care. But I'm talking about just the simple act of just lifting to keep your joints nice and strong, those muscles nice and strong. We know what happens to people. We know as you get older, yes, things slow down, but you can still keep up with it, keep some sort of routine to keep those bones strong, to keep your muscles strong, to keep your tendons strong. And I think that people do themselves a huge disservice by not doing it. So I'd worked for a company for quite some time, and I trained this 73-year-old woman, and she was just the sweetest thing. I mean, she was a firecracker. And I also trained her cousin, who was also equally as spicy, and same age. So they started with me, and it was very evident that it was just like range of motion stuff was really tough. Things were very heavy. But once again, with giving them the time that they needed to lift and the time they needed to recover, and talking about proper exercise and just talking about the proper techniques that they could have used, mainly rest in between the sets and rest in between when I would see them. I would see them usually like 2 days, so it'd be like every 2 days I would see them. And she was able to deadlift. I think she was deadlifting like 135 pounds for like a set of 5, like pretty regularly. It was pretty good. She was leg pressing 300 plus pounds, full range of motion without lifting her hips or butt off the leg press. And by the way, nobody gives a shit at what you leg press. That's just but anyway. She was squatting, barbell squatting, and then so was her cousin. And it was just great to see 2 73-year-old people working in that high capacity, being able to do everything that they needed to do. Well, I remember one day I went on vacation. I went to Vermont with my family, and I came back and I had one of the personal trainers watch and train her while I was away. So was training her while I was away. And, usually I try not to go on vacation because I super love what I do. And but anyway, so I went on vacation, and when I came back, one of the managers was like, "Hey, man, you need to go talk to that guy." And I was just like, "Why?" And he said, "Oh, he had some things to say about your training." And I remember just like, and I was young, so I mean, I definitely was a little bit had a little bit more fire in the ego side, not as much. I definitely don't have that as much now. But I was upset because he told her, "Why are you lifting so heavy? You don't need to be. Why are you doing this? You don't need to be doing this. This is too much." So she didn't question. She didn't skip a beat. She could tell. She's 73 years old. She knows what's what. So I brought him in the office, and I lost my shit on him. I said, "Don't you ever undermine me. I trained you, and I'm telling you, don't you ever limit one of my clients again just because you're scared of what they're going to do. I'm telling you, I wrote it on the paper. That's what she can do. You need to acknowledge that, and you need to push that, and you need to not write any limits for clients or people, or especially my clients at that time." So I was super pissed off. Fast forward 2 weeks later, she takes a dive. She falls. She fell on the bottom of her stairs and caught her foot, smashed her face, cut it. She's bleeding. She did a push-up on the ground, a push-up, pushed herself up, climbed up the stairs, called her son. He came and got her and brought herself to the emergency room. Now, I'm not saying she wasn't bruised up or banged up, but I'm saying we'd gone through 3.5 years of lifting and training where she could push herself up off the ground at 73 years old, get up the stairs bleeding, to get down, to get up there to call her son to come get her, to take her to the emergency room. She came in a couple days later, all banged up. I'm not saying she was skipping in, but said, "Hey, maybe we should stretch. Maybe we should just, take it easy. My doctor said I'm good. We just need to take it easy." And I was just amazed. And I looked over at him and I went, "Let's acknowledge it." Like, I was like, "Let's acknowledge this, Not and there was a little bit of me that wanted to say, hey, I told you so, asshole. But I didn't say that. And I mean, it goes to show that that is so important. She was lifting, she was working, she was not limiting herself on what anybody else said. She was just doing it for her. And after to see that type of result, to do a push up, push yourself up, get up the stairs and do that. If that's not a testament to lifting and range of motion and functional training and making sure that your bones are strong and training with bone density, which is a lot what lifting does, I don't know what is. So I'm just so, I got all, fired up on it because, yes, you're going to train differently. Yes, you're going to train a little differently in the recovery sense, in the sleeping sense, in that. But the exercises and functional training and strength stays the same. That's going to kind of go throughout as you get older. We keep getting more and more studies and in literature that comes out, and it's always the same. I mean, you guys can look back 10, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. It's all going to say the same thing. Strength train, mobility, range of motion, deadlift, squat, overhead press, all of those things are extremely good for you. The information has essentially stayed the same. So it's just crazy to me. And another thing is who should what professionals should you be asking about this type of lifting? I'm sorry, but you got to ask a doctor or a PT or a medical doctor. And I'm going to just backpedal a little bit. What does the doctor that you're asking look like? I think that matters. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It matters. If you're asking an unhealthy, just somebody who doesn't obviously take care of themselves, and you're going to ask them, hey, should I lift? And if they're telling you no, you got to go get a second opinion. Get the hell out of there. I'm sorry, I can't cover for them. That's insane. Unless there's a really, 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 really good reason. There's no reason that you shouldn't. I only know of a couple of different things where you should not be lifting. I mean, I only know of a very select few. We can get into them another time. But listen, sorry, not sorry. Just you should be asking for a second opinion then. Just what is the PT, what does the physical therapist or the MD look like that's telling you that, you need to be careful with lifting? It just drives me crazy because I've seen so many people turn around their health, turn around their wellness, turn around how they feel, how they look, how they perform with just lifting. It's just as simple as that. Me personally, I got into lifting, I've talked about it in the past that I was, it's a scared kid. I had a lot of things going on, but I got into it for the mental side of it. It made me feel good mentally, and I was a lot less apt to lash out in violence or try to hurt somebody or just be a jerk kid. It really disciplined me to make me better, more understandable, more empathetic. Where with some people it goes the opposite way, and it also it helps you if you suffer from depression. Me personally, I've taken that in, but if we're talking about just the physical sides of it, the list of reasons why it will help you is endless. And I'm sorry, I can't condone if you're just going to sit there and say, hey, I can't, I have a bad knee. Well, why you have a bad knee is because you don't squat and you don't put any amount of stimulus on it to get it better. And I'm not a medical doctor, but I can damn well tell you that most physical therapists, and medical professionals and people who even just work specifically on knees or ankles or joints on elbows are going to tell you need physical therapy and you need to put stimulus on it to make it stronger. I mean, you're not going to get where you want to be in your comfort zone, and we all know that. So it's like maybe you're lying a little bit to yourself. And we've all done it. I'm guilty of it. Are you kidding me? And this isn't to make somebody feel bad that they don't lift weights. I mean, what kind of asshole do you think I am where I'm sitting there trying to shame you into lifting weights? But if you are interested in it and you're right there and you want to start it, go do it. Find a professional, find somebody to teach you, and go and do it. Doesn't have to be here. I don't give a shit. I support good, well-rounded personal trainers, physical therapists, coaches, all strength coaches, you name it. If they're good and they're good at motivating you, and the information is good, and they're teaching you functional lifts and things like that, go do it. And you'd be amazed how far you can take it. And you'll also be amazed on how good you feel. Why do you think people in this industry are so annoying? Why do you think I'm so annoying sometimes? It's because I feel good. It feels good to be able to lift, to move, to, not be sore, not, go for a walk, go for a hike, pick something up. Basic body function. And if anything, and not to drag this shitty pandemic into it, but the pandemic kind of taught us all we have is our health. So many things have been stripped away and taken away. You have your health. If you don't have your health, what do we have? So take it into your own hands and take better care of yourself. That doesn't seem all that irrational. Seems kind of good. So, I mean, I'm not going to keep beating this, over everybody's head. I have probably 25 different examples I can go through where people over the age over the age of 55 I've trained who have done amazing things and have looked absolutely amazing. And I mean that like mentally and physically. So I'm not going to keep beating this dead horse, but if you can, as simple as I can say this before I'm out of here, don't put limits on yourself. That's the dumbest thing you could do. If you want to put limits on yourself, that's about you. That's you. That's nobody else. You got to know that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm out of here. I'll see you next week.
Live Sculpted.